Let's review the trig ratios. Sine of A is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. So we have our SOHCAHTOA. There is a worksheet that goes with this. You will end up putting your answers on Schoology, so please make sure you have the worksheet so you can write notes as we go. We're going to do both the ratios for sine of P and cosine of P. So we're focusing from the point of view of the P, and from the point of view of the P, the opposite side is all the way over here, 4 square roots of 10. The hypotenuse is always being pointed to by that right angle, and that will not change. And then the leftover side that's right next to our angle is going to be our adjacent. So for this question, 6 is our adjacent side. When we do sine of P, we're going to do our opposite over hypotenuse. So we have our opposite side is 4 square roots of 10, and our hypotenuse is 14. You can simplify the part that's outside the square root. Both of those numbers can be divided by 2. So what we have is 2 square roots of 10 over 7. That's going to be your answer for sine of P. When you switch over and you do the cosine of P, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. So we are going to do our adjacent side 6 over our hypotenuse 14. And again, both of these numbers can simplify. You can type it in and let Desmos simplify it for you, or you could do it by hand. Both of those numbers can be divided by 2. So we have 3 over 7 as your final answer for cosine of P. So in our next section, we're going to be solving 7, 8, and 9. I'm going to do these with you. But first, we're going to write our trig functions to keep them close and handy. So here's x, and according to x, 18 is right here, and that's the hypotenuse, so we're going to label that hypotenuse. And then 8 is right next to it, so that's going to be adjacent. So when I have adjacent and hypotenuse, that's going to be cosine. So we're going to say the cosine of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse. In order to solve for the x right here, we need to get rid of that cosine. So when we move cosine to the other side, remember that becomes inverse cosine, cosine to the -1. And then that's going to be 8 over 18. Whenever you go to Desmos, please make sure that you are in degrees. If you are not, you will not get the correct answer when you type that in. The directions say that we are going to, this is an angle, so that's going to be to the nearest degree. So whenever you type this in, you get x equals 63.6122, and it keeps going. So rounding that to the nearest degree, the 6 next door pushes that up to 64 degrees. Number 8, we have our angle right here. So we're going all the way across the triangle to the opposite side for 10, and then x is on our hypotenuse. So this time we have opposite and hypotenuse, opposite and hypotenuse. So that means it's going to be sine. So we have sine of 65 equals opposite 10 over hypotenuse x. You can do the algebra and switch this around. We did talk about a shortcut that whenever you have the x on bottom, it will need to come up to the top, and then you're going to divide, so that sine of 65 will end up in the bottom. So we have x equals 10 over the sine of 65. Again, you can do the algebra in the middle so that you can see how that works. And when you type this in, you're going to get an answer of x equals 11.03377, and it keeps going. The directions for the nearest segment is going to be to the nearest tenth. So the tenths place is right here. We look next door, and that's a 3. So we need to keep that as 0. Because it is asking us for the tenths place, you will need to put in 11.0 as your final answer on Schoology to include the tenths place. For the last question over here, number 9 on this slide, we have 28 in the corner. All the way across the triangle over here is our opposite side, and we also have our right angle pointing at our hypotenuse. So whenever we look at our trig functions, again, we have opposite and hypotenuse, which is going to be sine. So for this one, we have sine of 28 equals x over 15. The algebra on this one, to undo divide by 15, we multiply by 15 on both sides. So those cancel out. And then you're going to type this in on your Desmos, and the answer that you get is 7.042, and it keeps going. And again, the directions say segments get rounded to the nearest tenth. So the tenth place is right here. We look next door, 7.0, because the 4 is not big enough to push that up. And because it does want the 10th place, again in Schoology, you will need to enter 7.0 for full credit. Number 19, we're going to write the tangent ratios for E and F. So we're going to start off at E, and when we do E, this one's going to be our opposite. And between 8 and 10, 8 has to be the adjacent, because 10 is going to be our hypotenuse, and that will not move. The right angle always points to your hypotenuse. When we do tangent, that's the TOA part, opposite over adjacent. So when we do tangent of E, we're going to do 6 over 8. 6 over 8 simplifies. We can divide both of those by 2 to get 3 over 4 as your final ratio. We are leaving them in ratios. It also would like for you to do the tangent ratio of angle F. So when we do tangent of F, we're going to be starting down here, and this time 8 is going to be our opposite. It's all the way across, and 6 will be our adjacent because it's right next to F, and the hypotenuse is always the hypotenuse. Opposite 8 over adjacent 6 simplifies to 4 over 3. Those are your answers, your final answers in Schoology. 22. We have our right triangle, we have a 55, and all the way across from the 55 we have X, which is going to be our opposite. We also have, next to it, we have a 5, which is going to be our adjacent. So whenever you do TOA, when you have opposite and adjacent, that's going to be tangent. So we're going to do the tangent of 55 equals opposite X over adjacent 5. In order to solve that, we're going to undo divide by 5 by multiplying each side by 5. So now we have 5 times the tangent of 55 is what you're going to type in on your calculator. We get 7.1407 equals our X, and we want to round to the nearest tenth. The 10th place is one place after the decimal. The 4 does not push that 1 up, so we say 7.1 equals X. 7.1 is going to be the answer you put in Schoology. Find the value of X, round your answer to the nearest degree. A reminder that your calculator should be in degrees, so if you need to on decimals, you go up to that wrench, and that opens a menu, and at the very bottom of the menu, you have your choice of radians and degrees. Make sure you pick the right one. We are going with degrees for this question. We have our X value here. From X, going all the way across, 4 is going to be our opposite side. 5 is right next to it, so that's going to be adjacent. When you have opposite and adjacent, that's going to be tangent. So we're going to be doing the tangent of theta, or X in this case, equals opposite 4 over adjacent 5. Whenever we want to move tangent to the other side, that's when we do our inverse tangent. So we have tangent to the negative first power, 4 over 5. This is what you type into your calculator, and then you get X equals 38.6598, so on. We are rounding our answer to the nearest degree, so when we look next door, that 6 is big enough to round up to 39 degrees is the answer that you will be putting in Schoology for number 25. Please enter all your answers on Schoology. I will give you a little bit of class time tomorrow on Tuesday to finish if you need it, but we also have some more things that we have planned on Tuesday. So use your time wisely and plan accordingly.